By a show of fingers, if a politician refers to himself or herself as a socialist, who would automatically think negatively of what that person believes? So 4 of you would automatically think negatively of what that person believes if he or she declares, I'm a socialist. Okay. So that's Alice, Ron, Patty, and Drew. Drew, why would you automatically think negatively of what that person believes?
I think I'm just old school when it comes to that. I've seen socialists in other countries that have never succeeded. And when it comes down to it, I guess I want to be able to keep the money that I've worked so hard for rather than somebody tell me I had to take that money and give it to somebody else.
Okay. What are other reasons why you would think negatively of that person, different from what Drew said? Alice, you got a different reason than Drew's for why you would not? No, same as his.
No, pretty much the same thing he said.
Okay. Got it. Ron, same. Patty is same, basically.
Yeah, I would. Oh, okay, Patty.
Yeah, just very similarly, in that maybe, that they don't value like hard work, individual hard work. I feel like that's so important. So,
Okay. For the other 3 of you, why would you not think negatively about someone who declares that they're a socialist? Steve?
I had to think. I just think that well, it really depends on the person sometimes too, because sometimes people be making good points and good stands, but overall, it's like, yeah, I like what Drew says, like, just never seen nobody successfully pull off anything as a socialite for real. But sometimes they make good points, but it's like it just, I don't know, for some reason it just don't work. So
Okay,
yeah, I'll just go back with the first question, what you were saying, not this one.
Okay, hold on a second. So if someone says I'm a socialist, are you looking at them negatively or positively?
Negatively, that's what I'm saying.
Okay,
That's
so you're with
why
the first crowd. Okay.
yeah, I'm going to that point.
Got it. Okay. Anthony, why would you not view a socialist negatively?
Because I want to hear more. Just because they say they're socialists, I want to hear more about policies, thoughts, and see, like Drew, how extreme they go before I make a decision, before I'm negative or positive.
Okay. Jessica, how about you?
I am similar to Anthony. I would need more information, so I wouldn't automatically think negatively. I would be open to learning more because I don't know much about the Socialist Party, but I do the little I know. I'm not mad at, like social equality, anti-racism, those kinds of things are things like that I value. But how extreme that is for whoever, this we're talking about, I would just want more information.
Okay. Thank you. It's for all 7 of you. Next question. By a show of fingers, if a politician refers to himself or herself as a communist,
oh God,
who would automatically think negatively of what that person believes? Someone says, I'm a communist. Who would automatically view that person negatively? What they believe negatively, I should say. 6 of you, all but Jessica. Anthony, why would you view that person negatively?
Based on past history and what I know about communism.
Okay, anybody have a different reason why you would think negatively of someone who says I'm a communist?
I think very similar, because from what I understand about the overall idea of communism, it does seem beneficial for everyone, but it's not executed that way. So I think very similarly to what Drew said, who we know as communist leaders are like generally they are negative. We think negatively. The country thinks negatively. So I think to just come out and say that you are communist is probably like a death threat, if you would. It just sounds so negative, because any countries that we know that are communist countries are not happy countries.
Okay. Patty, what do you think of the communist ideology, though? Set aside how they execute it.
So for me, what I understand, that it's like fair for everyone, it's supposed to be like everyone lives fairly. So I can understand why that would be negative, and I can understand why it'd be positive. So I mean, it just seems like it is just the most fair for everyone.
Okay, why is it fair for everyone?
Why?
Yeah.
I don't know. From what I understand about communism, that's what it is like founded upon. So that things are, I would imagine like food or maybe monies, things like that. Like everybody is the same amount.
Okay.
So to me, it sounds like it would work well.
Okay, but I'm pushing you for a reason. You're being very kind to me.
Yeah.
Why would that work well? Why is somebody who works 10 times harder as somebody else getting paid the same amount of money? Why is that fair?
So exactly that. I understand why it could also rub people the wrong way, and I would feel the same way if we see these in jobs, right? We make the same amount of money, but I'm working and you're texting, right? So I can understand that. So I think if all the citizens are playing along as they should, I think that it would work. And the idea of it seems like it would work. Then we would eliminate like classes and even to go really deeply into like bullying, even within kids, all those kind of things. I think the idea of that sounds really good. I like the idea of that, but I definitely understand how it could also go another way with someone working very hard and still receiving the same amount of money. So I think that as much as the government, the government is saying we're a communist government, the citizens also have to show the same amount of effort, and that's very hard to find in like individuals. So I also understand why people would be very turned off by it as well.
Got it. Okay. Steve Holly, in the interest of time, I'm going to move on. My apologies.
Okay,
Very quickly though, Jessica, since you were the one who stood outside this consensus, tell me quickly why you would not automatically think negatively of a communist.
Simply the same reason as the last question. I would need more information. I don't know enough about like a current day American communist. Like, what does that all entail? What is that exact belief system? I know, some of the historical stuff with communist countries, but what would somebody right now standing on the corner, like, what would they be telling me their belief system was? I would be interested to learn.
Got it. Thank you. All right. So Cindy's going to play a clip of President Trump talking about communism recently, about 1 minute long. After it's done, I just want to ask you very quickly about it. Go ahead, Cindy.
There is now a resurgence of the communist menace in our land, including from newcomers to our country who embrace ideas totally opposed to our way of life and our great success. These are not mere political disagreements like differences over taxes or regulations. Communism is a mortal threat to American liberty. It is the greatest threat to our country, including World War I, World War II, Pearl Harbor, or even 9/11. America will never be a communist country. Won't happen. Communism is a loser, and it always will be. The communist system is the opposite of the American system, and the communist system has never worked. Our warriors did not fight communism on battlefields across the world, only to have that menace rear its ugly head right back here in America. We're not going to let it happen.
Anthony, why is he saying this? Why is he bothering to make this point?
More support of the American way of life and the American system, as opposed to not having, communism. I don't think there'll ever be the U.S. will never be a communist country.
But why?
He's moving toward it being dictatorial, which is part of some of the communist practices. But I think it's more defense of the American system than retarding the communist system.
Okay, so all he's doing is defending the American system.
His rhetoric, yes.
Okay, got it. So it's his way of defending the American system. Ron, go ahead.
I think it's a red herring and it's a distraction away from actual issues that need to be addressed. And it's a way to gain momentum throughout the course of his lecture to the audience. And I think that because that's a traditional or inherent fear that's been passed down because of years of seeing communism overseas, it was a way from the tug on the heartstrings of the audience to kind of get their favor, while also, again, being a distraction to overlook from real issues that he could be discussing on that pulpit.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. For the 7 of you, by a show of fingers, who thinks there are policy differences between Democrats and Democratic Socialists? Thinks there are policy differences between Democrats and Democratic Socialists. Patty does, Jessica does, Drew does. The other 4 of you don't think there are policy differences. Drew, give me a policy difference between Democrats and Democratic Socialists.
Yeah, that's one thing I was trying to think of the exact one. Again, I think when it comes to the Democratic Socialists, I think they lean more towards taking a whole group, I guess, in a lump sum and giving it out to equally to everybody. Where I think of the Democrats, they're still for, okay, I'm still going to work hard, I'm going to earn a living, we'll still help out people when we can, but I don't want somebody tell me that I have to give my money out to different parts. Where I think the socialists feel like you have to divvy out all of your monies equally all over the place.
Okay. And the other 2 of you said there's a difference. Anybody else, can you give me a concrete example of a difference?
And same with Drew. I also can't think of I don't even know of anyone that we could even compare side by side as a Democrat and a Democratic Socialist. Nothing that I can think of, but I think Drew really said it very well, that, it's the Democrat Socialist is just far, where maybe the Democrat is more mid, more kind of on both sides, more balanced.
Okay, so bottom line, Patty, there are differences, but you can't state them.
Correct.
Got it. Jessica, can you give me an example of a policy difference? No. Okay, great. I'm moving this along because I'm going to run behind. For 7 of you, by a show of fingers, who thinks there are policy differences between Republicans and MAGA Republicans? 6 of you do. Okay. Great. Steve, what are the policy differences between Republicans and MAGA Republicans? You have an example for me? And you're muted.
I think that the Republicans is, basically like what I said earlier, still for like traditional values and stuff like that. But like the MAGA Republicans are like doubling down on it, but have a more negative connotation behind it. Like kind of like a racist movement behind it, but still trying to enhance like, yeah, this is for like the hierarchy, God, man, woman, children, but for white people, you know. So that's what I think. But I think the Republicans is mainly for everybody under this hierarchy, not just one particular race. But I don't think Trump is racist, but I think his following is a lot of racists, but not everybody is racist. So that's the one is magnified for one particular race and the other is magnified for everybody.
Got it. Thank you.
All right.
So, setting that issue aside, is there any other example you can give me of a difference between Republicans and MAGA Republicans?
I would say that insurrection, the January 6th, was it January 6th or 8th? Because my daughter's birthday is January 6th. So that, like, we know that was wrong, right? Regular people know you cannot go in the White House and storm the White House. But I think that that's just, that one I could give you a clear example.
Okay, so hang on. I'm not asking about January 6th. I'm talking about a policy, public policy,
Policy.
healthcare, energy, crime, go down the list. I want to know if there's a policy difference between Republicans and MAGA Republicans. Ron, go ahead.
Yeah, I would say that MAGA Republicans are more for protecting American interests, whereas there's more open trade within Republican policy interests. Also, in regards to immigration, for a case example, immigration, both parties hold to immigration. The difference is the Republican Party supports legal immigration, whereas the MAGA wants to go to the extreme and deport all immigration. They're 1,000% against it, and they want to preserve the integrity of American citizens and their work ethics.
Got it. Thank you. By a show of fingers, if a politician refers to himself or herself as a socialist, who would automatically think negatively of what that person believes? Got two of you, Tyler and Mackenzie. Tyler, why?
Yeah, in my limited experience, just the policies often pursued by socialists don't seem to be generally beneficial. I think the ideals that a socialist might stand for do sound great, but ultimately, I think the policies economically that are pursued by socialists are generally harmful for people. So,
Okay. Mackenzie, why would you automatically view a self-proclaimed socialist negatively?
I think there's too many examples of like failed examples of socialism, like the Soviet Union, Venezuela, Cuba, and East Germany. I could go on, but I mean, it seems like it cripples the economy, and the quality of life just goes down for everyone.
Okay. So you saw the old Soviet Union as socialist.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Got it.
I think it would depend on the degree. I think, a small degree of socialism. We have some degree of socialism in this country right now. It just depends on how far they would want to take it.
So that's why you didn't raise your finger when I asked whether you'd view it negatively. Is that right, Jamie?
Yeah, it wouldn't be negative automatically. I'd have to, see what, how severe the socialist ideas that they had were.
Okay. Well, can you give me an example of what kind of socialist policies we have right now?
Well, I think like welfare and Medicaid and things like that are to a degree socialist.
Okay. Sarah, tell me why you wouldn't automatically view a socialist negatively.
With anything, you're going to have pros and cons, and it would just depend on what aspects are they looking at going into. Um, I mean, it's just like we say we're a democracy, but we're not. So it would just depend on what are they looking at?
Okay.
What are they wanting to change? Am I standing in a line for something, or is it something that's going to benefit all of us? Just depends on what. They're good and bad to everything.
All right. Jennifer, why wouldn't you automatically view a socialist negatively?
I think in the grand scheme of the actual world, which is why I watch world news, they're very moderate compared to European politics and probably anywhere else. So, uh, I don't know if I'll ever see like Social Security or things like that realistically. But I know that it benefits people, and welfare just the same. It'll keep crime down, people being able to eat. Not everybody's a criminal that has it, if anything, but I mean, in general, it's like you help your poor and those that, whether it's temporarily or whatever the length of time. And so I can't. It just really depends on the policy, though.
Okay, got it. By a show of fingers, if a politician refers to himself or herself as a communist, who would automatically think negatively of what that person believes? Four of you would. So, Jamie, why would you view a communist negatively?
Well, I think that's a instance of going too far, and that has been it's been shown to be a failed form of government in other countries.
Okay. Jennifer, why is socialist acceptable possibly, but not communist?
Um, I think with how a lot of those governments were ran, you still had relatively like wealthy subset of people that extremely benefited and a lot of poor, just the same. So,
Talking about
I
the
think it just had
socialism,
a
communism. I'm sorry, are you talking about socialism or communism?
communism.
Okay. I'm sorry. So explain that to me again. I apologize.
Oh, sure. Basically, there would still be like a good subset of people within those types of governments for socialism that did we say socialism?
I'm
Yeah.
asking about communism now.
Communism, I'm sorry. Uh yeah, within communism where they extremely benefited in society and there was a lot of corruption.
Okay.
So it wasn't necessarily equal footing for every single person.
Got it. Okay. Sarah, tell me why you didn't raise your finger on rejecting a communist candidate.
Because I truly don't know enough about communism other than the propaganda that we've seen come from Russia, come from China. And so I can't make an informed decision, positive or negative, until I would learn more about like what does it actually look like. So I don't not comfortable saying I would hate it.
Okay. So the propaganda coming from Russia and China weren't enough to sour you on communism.
No, because I know people who've lived there and they don't talk about it like what we've seen. I
Okay.
have a teacher I worked with who taught English in China for 20 years and would go back in a heartbeat. He says the way they treat their people, the things that they do. And yes, there are things like, Christianity you could be killed for and things of that nature, but the way they took care of all of their people, there wasn't the same, like in their rural communities, they weren't struggling. They were able to make a good life and live. There wasn't the same struggles that we see in our rural communities. And so that's the hard part is we see all of the negative things about it, but we don't ever hear about the good of it. And because I don't know enough about like what would they actually stand for, would we become a dictatorship? Would we become an oligarchy, which is kind of what we've got going on now. Like what is that all going to look like? So there's too many unknowns to just say you're going to hate them instantly.
Got it. Thank you. All right, so Cindy's going to play a clip of President Trump talking about communism recently. After it's done, I want to get your reaction.
There is now a resurgence of the communist menace in our land, including from newcomers to our country who embrace ideas totally opposed to our way of life and our great success. These are not mere political disagreements like differences over taxes or regulations. Communism is a mortal threat to American liberty. It is the greatest threat to our country, including World War I, World War II, Pearl Harbor, or even 9/11. America will never be a communist country. Won't happen. Communism is a loser, and it always will be. The communist system is the opposite of the American system, and the communist system has never worked. Our warriors did not fight communism on battlefields across the world, only to have that menace rear its ugly head right back here in America. We're not going to let it happen.
Tyler, why do you think he's saying this?
Well, I mean, in the United States, there's a pretty strong anti-communist sentiment coming from decades of rivalry with the Soviet Union, fighting against communists in North Korea, Vietnam. So I think it's easy to stroke some anti-communist support because I mean, America has a long history of being rivalrous with communist ideals in communist countries. So.
Okay. But anybody have a different reason why you think he's raising communism?
Sure, yeah, maybe politically right now, just maybe to vilify the Democratic Party, to portray them as individuals who support these ideals, which many would consider to be un-American or just opposed to, right? Maybe he's trying to vilify the Democratic Party by comparing them to communists. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what he's doing. He's trying to scare people from voting Democratic.
I agree with that because he made it sound like the threat was more internal.
Got
That's
it.
not how I took it.
How'd you take it, Sarah?
Because of what we've seen with the way he has gone against immigrants, whether they're here on asylum or here legally on a visa and still tries to deport them, I think he's trying to rile up people to basically reenact what they did with the McCarthy. They're going to go against our people and get more people out of this country if they support something that he doesn't believe in.
Okay. All right. Thank you. By a show of fingers, who thinks there are policy differences between Democrats and Democratic Socialists? Three of you see policy differences. Mackenzie, what are the policy differences between Democrats and Democratic Socialists? Can you give me an example?
Democrats, I think, are a lot more moderate, whereas Democratic Socialists are actually socialists in their beliefs. And I guess as far as examples I can think of, like a Democrat I can think of would be the candidate for Iowa governor, Rob Sand, and a Democrat socialist would be Bernie
No,
Sanders.
I'm not asking you for people examples. I'm asking you for policy examples.
Okay. Yeah, just a Democrat would just be more moderate, more middle of the road, whereas the socialist would be like actual belief in the fundamentals of a socialist government.
Okay, but I'm pushing you, Mackenzie. You're very kind to let me do this. I understand in theory where they stand. Can you give me a specific government policy that a Democrat would call for X and the Democratic Socialist would call for Y?
Universal health care might be something that a Democrat socialist would propose, whereas a Democrat might propose a more moderate solution that doesn't include, where you still have to pay something for it, where it's not just free provided to everybody.
Got it. Okay. The other two of you can give me an example of where a Democratic socialist differs from a Democrat.
Well, the healthcare was a good example. Also, probably on the energy thing, like the Green New Deal, having all energy come from environmentally sound sources like solar and wind and stuff.
And that would be what, a Democratic socialist?
Yeah, the socialists would want it all, wants it to be converted right away to that type of energy, where a moderate Democrat would like a transition period and still, use some of the electricity we use now.
Okay. By a show of fingers, who thinks there are policy differences between Republicans and MAGA Republicans? Jennifer, is that a finger up or not?
No.
No. Okay, so two of you, Sarah and Tyler. Tyler, what are the policy differences? Give me an example between a Republican and a MAGA Republican.
Yeah, I think a traditional Republican would certainly support fiscal responsibility. Recently, I don't think that's been demonstrated by the Trump administration as much. That seems to be a traditional Republican-held view of controlled spending government. I don't think that's quite espoused by the current MAGA group. So,
Okay, Sarah, you got an example for me?
The Save America Act. Regular Republicans understand that that's going to limit a lot of women from voting, and the MAGA Republicans could care less. In fact, they probably would want less women to vote because women are likely to be Democratic or independent.
Okay, got it. Thank you.